It was a really spirited practice, you know, to have those three guys back. And there were some things that we did in Denver that we needed to do better, some defensive things. And so the combination of our last game we lost and the excitement of having three starters back made for a very competitive environment at practice today.
Now all three of them playing tomorrow?
It's my expectation that they will.
How did Jimmy look going through stuff for the first time in a minute?
He looked good. Didn't feel like he missed a beat. You know, I think his spirit especially was great. Defensively, the physical side of it was great. He looked good.
I know you guys had a chat over there. I'm not trying to get back to the stuff from before, but in terms
but you will.
Well, what I would ask was.
You can ask anybody.
Now that he's a couple months in, how, like, because you guys have different terminology than a lot of teams and kind of a different setup. Like, how do you feel like he's kind of caught up yet, or is that still an ongoing process?
It's still ongoing, and it's, as I've said, and I'll say it again, it's part of my enjoyment of coaching him. Like, we talk, and this one happened to be. It happens every day.
Sure.
FaceTime, court, whatever. This one happened to be about like the spacing of where we want to put Ben when we're doing some things with him with the ball, and you know, stuff that you listen to when players, you know, have an opinion, and that's all that was. And to your point, Tim, it was the growth of our vocabulary is constant. You know, he played for one coach for a long time, and it's a new language, and so that's always evolving. And some of that happened again today in that instance that you're referencing.
When you say new language for him, new language for you both, like when you're
mostly for him. Like, I talk how I talk, and the words that I use have just been a part of my coaching vernacular vocabulary for a while, and so when I say something offensively or defensively, that is a constant education for him, where he's, you know, heard the same thing, but maybe just a different word, and maybe it is a little different. But the vocabulary is everything. When you start getting into the NBA, it's the thing that stood out the most when I came with Pop 19 years ago. It's like I felt like I never coached a day in my life, and I was 44 years old, 43 years old, and had coached for 20 years. But you know, the NBA is different, and the wording and the vocabulary matters, and so all of that equals comfort. All of that equals the ability to talk on the fly, and I think he's doing great, but it is new.
I guess with Jimmy out, got unearthed Corey the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Now that Jimmy comes back, does this things feel more whole, more stabilized? You know, once you get everyone back in, now knowing you've got Corey.
Well, yes, it does. And Corey has performed well enough where he's still, you know, going to get court time. He's earned that right. He's really been impressive in so many ways for me. It does get a little bit of a log jam because we also were experimenting with Wilson out of three. You know, so you get Jimmy back out of three, you bring Wilson back, who's piecemealing that 4-3-3-4, and then we've just seen what Corey has done. And so there is, you know, in a good way, a little bit of a log jam now that we have a full crew, but isn't that a good problem to have?
I feel like you've talked in the past about, you know, guys going off and doing their own thing in the summertime, and obviously LA is probably as big of a spot as there is. What do you guys do, like, organizationally to keep tabs on guys when they're out here, and then how much do you think an environment like this could benefit guys like all over the league being out here playing each other?
I mean, I think it does benefit guys. I think sometimes it's good for them to go other places and hear other voices. We're with them for an amazingly dense period of time, and you know, to get sort of this environment, new voices, I'm not against it at all. I encourage it in so many ways. And like, now, how do you manage it? How do you still, you know, control as much as you can? And really, control's not probably the right word. It's how do you help the guys, whether it's, you know, the PT stuff, whether it's strength and conditioning, whether it's skill acquisition, whatever it is. You know, I often refer to it as like a concierge program. How do we just set up your world where you got it all? Health, strength and conditioning, skill acquisition, all that. And I think that it's true, this part of the country is becoming extremely popular to attract guys, especially in the summertime.
It's been a weird year for the Lakers. They've had a lot of injuries, and they've got the push and pull with like having LeBron and trying to develop their young guys. What do you think about the job that Luke decided to do?
I mean, I'm a fan of Luke's. I have been from afar for a while. You know, the job that he did when Steve was out, how can you not step back and say that's a hell of a job? And then the rules have changed here. You know, you come in and you sort of inherit something like I inherited, then the needle moves and you get LeBron, and you know the rules have changed, the expectations have changed, and I think that he's a hell of a coach. He's good people. He's kind of, you know, been around pro sport his whole life, whether through, you know, his dad or him playing, and I just think he's a hell of a coach, and I think he's got to, you know, at this stage, especially with the injuries, it's a tough job.
Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you started here, it seemed like you were running a lot of the same stuff you guys were running in San Antonio, taking a lot of stuff. What was the process like getting from there to what you are at right now on offense specifically? You don't have to go too long.
Yeah, no, it's a huge question. The things that haven't changed are post spacing. Like Joel and Duncan have the same post spacing because it really proved to be successful for us. I am now getting into more play calls to get, you know, Jimmy and JJ and Joel a little bit more place than I normally have. In San Antonio, like the system chugged along, and it just chugged along and chugged along, and the players sort of created the environment as much as anything. Now it's a little bit different where Pop will go to LaMarcus or DeMar or whatever, it's different, but when I came to Philadelphia, you know, we just passed and moved, and it wasn't like you featured a bunch of guys. It wasn't like, you know, you need to get Jimmy Butler, you know, 18 shots. I didn't feel that with Jakar or Jeremy, right? And so I think the notion of now that you're starting to get all-stars, like you have to place those guys and use those guys well, responsibly. And so my starting point in Philadelphia versus what's going on now is that. It's just the reality, like these guys need the ball in this spot, in this situation, and I go out of my way to try to get that done.
You ran Landry Summit point guard the other day.
Yeah.
I know he came in the league as a point guard, even though he's been playing a lot of the two. Is that something you would like to maybe be able to explore a little bit more?
It is.
I know it's tough with the amount of ball handlers you got at times. But.
It is. In my head and in my heart, he has the ability to be an NBA backup point guard. And, you know, down the road, time will prove me right or wrong, but like anything, it gets down to opportunity. And the other night, I gave him one, and he repetitively doesn't disappoint. And, you know, he's a big guard that can shoot over things. People don't go under his screens. He can pass out of it. He's got an explosive first step where he can turn a corner and get to the rim. He's got a bunch of things that shouldn't make this discussion head-scratching. Right. I think there's a lot of, not of course stuff, but you could understand why we would all think that.
You obviously, you know, you never want to have too many expectations for a rookie. And I know you guys liked him, obviously, to draft him, but how much has he exceeded what you could have expected, given, you know, he's now got a pretty significant rotation spot for you guys, and he's playing a lot of minutes?
He has significantly exceeded expectations. You know, there was a stage when you had, you know, back in the day with Dario and Cov and Jared Bayless, and I noticed Jared's playing well now, had a great game, that you were thinking, you know, how does this all shake out? And then you think Zaire is going to, you know, probably be grown. He's the 10th player, you know.
Sure.
And so you think that's going to be developed, and all of a sudden Zaire gets hurt. We make some trades, and there Landry is. You thought like Jonah and Zaire were going to be down in the G League playing, but lately, like, he's come out of left field. He's exceeded expectations. He's quality people. He's high character. I think his multiple years in college have served him well. He's not 18 years old, and he's really having a hell of a year.